very unique vantage point.
Jason, I know you've been traveling a lot. You've been working a lot. Have you had time to check out who's atop the brackets for a cause this year?
I have. I've been keeping a very close eye, especially because they keep emailing me to make sure that everything's right. So interestingly enough, our own Peter Grauer is number 2 on the men's side, so he's quite excited.
He's got to get Bill McDermott over at ServiceNow.
Exactly. So Bill McDermott is in first. Bill McDermott won the contest way back in 2016, so that would be a repeat if he holds on, which we've never had. Deborah Cafaro is in third, and then if you flip over to the women's side, Whitney Wolf-Hurd and Ken Griffin. I mean, have they ever been spoken in the same sentence? They're tied for first on the women's side, so there's a lot of basketball left to play. That's one of the things I said to the contestants earlier this week, but it is very cool how it's all shaping out. Just some great names that, again, sort of cut across the sports world, the finance world, and, you know, sort of the broader culture. The founder of Bumble. It doesn't get much more cultural than that, right?
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Jason Kelly, thank you so much. Speaking of cool, living a very cool life right now and who he's all talking to. Jason, have a great weekend.
Stayed in Florida for the weekend, Jason.
Yeah, what's up with that?
You know, it's raining here. It's going to be nice in New York.
It's supposed to get nice. All right, Bloomberg Originals Chief Correspondent Jason Kelly. Catch this evening at 9 p.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg Originals. Of course, the deal with Alex Rodriguez and Jason Kelly. It is dropping tonight. Also catch it Friday at 7 p.m. on Bloomberg TV. The podcast, by the way, already available for download at Bloomberg.com or wherever you get your podcast. Carol Masterson said that. This is Bloomberg.
Don't miss our Business Week weekend show for a look at America's plumber deficit, the business of amusement parks, and an interview with Chuck Lorre, creator of TV's Big Bang Theory. It's the weekend edition of Bloomberg Business Week at a special time tonight at 9 p.m. on Bloomberg Radio.
Now your 3-day weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Mostly cloudy skies for the city during tonight. Low temperature midtown about 40, a bit colder in the suburbs, 30s there. Becoming mostly sunny and breezy on Friday. And again, temperatures up between 50 and 55. Back in the 30s we go at night with clear skies. Weekend weather should be cool and dry with a mix of clouds and sun each day. Breezy, temperatures 55 to 60. This is Gary Best with your weekend weather forecast on Bloomberg 1130.
Tomorrow morning at 8:30, tune in for special coverage of key inflation data.
The core PCE deflator, the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation.
Will the numbers change the Fed's timing on rate cuts?
The committee remains highly attentive to inflation risks.
Stay with us for live comments from Fed Chair Powell at 11:30.
Inflation is still too high. Ongoing progress in bringing it down is not assured.
Inflation in focus. Tomorrow morning at 8:30 on Bloomberg 1130. Context changes everything.
Something amazing is happening. Despite a citywide blackout, this company is still up and running. That's because CDW deployed and managed a cost-effective Eaton Trip Light Series Smart Pro UPS to safeguard equipment easily and reliably, keep the power on, and protect your IT equipment from electrical challenges. Trip Light by Eaton and CDW. Make amazing happen. Find out more at cdw.com/triplight.
Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times that the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors. It helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products. NJIT makes computer scientists, software engineers, and data analysts. And as an R1 research university, NJIT is using the power of data science in research to extract more information to solve more problems. We're also equipping data scientists with the skills that companies need. NJIT has long partnered with industry and today is preparing a new generation of tech talent to fuel America's innovation economy. What can you make with NJIT? Learn more at njit.edu.
Hi, I'm Miko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Ink card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
With the Chase Ink Business Unlimited card, you can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for the participation. Cards issued by J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and member FDIC. Subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
We're coming up next on Bloomberg Business Week. We're doing a double dose of Elon Musk. We're talking a little bit about Tesla and what it's going to do to compete with a $25,000 car. And then also, what's going on over at X?
Markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day on Bloomberg Radio, Bloomberg Television, and the Bloomberg Business app. This is the Bloomberg Business Flash.
And I'm John Tucker in the newsroom with the Bloomberg Business Flash. Major stock averages ended the day mixed. The S&P 500 closed at yet another record, the 22nd record close for the index. Estee Lauder, the best performing stock in the S&P 500, that was up over 6%. They received an analyst upgrade. End of the quarter, and we've seen a $4 trillion surge in U.S. stock values in just 3 months. Data did show the economy pretty good shape today. And tomorrow, markets are closed. At the same time, we're going to get some big inflation data, the core PCE, which of course is the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. And the head of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, scheduled to deliver a speech as well. Apple's overseas suppliers, they've ramped up production of the company's long-anticipated new iPads, a launch now planned for early May. Look at Home Depot shares. They're making the biggest acquisition ever to try and win over more professional contractors. They're buying SRS Distribution for about $18.2 billion. Those shares ended down about 0.6% today's trading. And the S&P 500 ended up 5 points, of 0.1%, 52.54 on the index. The Dow was up 47 points. The Nasdaq Composite Index closed lower, down 20 points, down about 0.1%. And we check the markets for you all day long, right here on Bloomberg Radio. I'm John Tucker, and that's your Bloomberg Business Flash. Ymca.
All right, John Tucker, thank you so much. All right, folks, a couple of stories on Tesla we wanted to get to. Tesla shares, by the way, down 2.25% at the close for the Thursday trade.
You said it was the worst performer this quarter, right?
Yeah.
In the S&P 500.
Right, or so far this year, right?
Yeah.
It's down about 30% so far here in 2024. Couple of stories. First of all, the company planning to fend off cheaper competition from China with a $25,000 electric car. And Tim, that's not all.
It's not all.
No.
It's not a Tesla story, but
no.
It's an Elon Musk story. No real easy segue here. Twitter, X. It's too easy. Triple X?
You want to call it Triple X?
We're supposed to call it? Testing adult content groups. Yeah, I mean, this is I'm at a loss for words, Joe. Go ahead, save me. Go ahead.
We have two great people who are never at a loss for words. Are going to help us with this. Let's get to our roundtable. Bloomberg News senior technology reporter Dana Hall. She is there in our San Francisco bureau. Also with us, Bloomberg News technology reporter Kurt Wagner, joining us from Denver. Kurt, by the way, is also the author of Battle for the Bird. So let me start with you, Dana. Let's start. So tell us about Tesla's plans to buy a less expensive car, to build a less expensive car, and how easy it is for Tesla to do it, because she's talked about this before, doing a less expensive car. So break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is of huge interest to the investment community. And, you know, basically a year ago, Tesla kind of announced at this 4-hour-long investor day that they were working on a new assembly process that is either called like unboxed or modular assembly. And like I've been waiting to see, like, is the company ever going to say more about this? And they haven't. So I just kind of did a deep dive and talked to a lot of experts. And the auto industry is watching this very closely. Like, if Tesla can pull this off, it'll be another big step change in reducing costs. And everyone is like under enormous pressure here in the U.S. to reduce those costs, because the electric vehicle market is a global market, and we are seeing incredible competition from China. So Tesla basically is like throwing out the assembly line that Henry Ford invented over 100 years ago. And, you know, they want to build cars in the way that like a kid builds Legos, like all modular, like much smaller factories that they can build faster. And I mean, I'm just very curious to see if they can pull this off.
Dana, how can they pull this off? I mean, there's a reason things are done on an assembly line, and there's a reason why that was so pioneering, as you write in your piece. It's not easy to build a vehicle, and I would imagine that if you could do this in a modular fashion, then others would have been able to figure this out by now, no?
Well, I think that, Tesla has always been willing to take risks where Detroit and Germany have not, and this is kind of a continuation of what Tesla has learned with the Model Y. They started to move from stamping panels to gigacasting them, and I think this sort of modular assembly or unboxed assembly process is an extension of that. And, Musk himself is very bullish on it. You have engineers like Lars Moravi who are kind of leading the charge on this. And I think they're actually farther along than they have led on. And it's just going to be hugely interesting. So whenever, people talk about, Tesla is like down in the dumps, they don't have a new car, like everything hinges on this next car, I keep trying to remind everyone, it's not just that they're building a cheaper car, they are like completely reinventing manufacturing yet again. And that's super interesting. It's very, very unprecedented that they would just completely redo their assembly line. It has a lot of risks, but it could also be the way that they prevail.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's such a key point here. And reinvention is something, it sounds like, and Kurt, let me bring you in, when it comes to X, although
are you going to say reinvention? Is reinvention going to be your segue here?
Sorry, all right, don't judge me, don't judge me. Tell us what Elon wants to do over at X.
Well, I was honestly wondering what the segue was going to be. That was a pretty good one, if I had to pick. So what we've seen is that X is testing the ability for people to create and join private groups, what they call communities on the service, but specifically that are intended or include adult content or not safe for work content. And so those groups will, have a label that sort of specifies that. If you're the owner or the creator of the group, you need to go into settings and specify that there's that type of content in the group so people are aware. Again, like this stuff exists on Twitter or X right now. I think the idea of sort of maybe putting it into a group and giving it a destination for people to go to is certainly an interesting way of leaning into the fact that, this type of stuff is already out there.
You know what's interesting, Kurt? Maybe I'm super naive about this stuff, but I got retweeted by somebody with a lot of followers last week, and in my replies, I actually got some adult content, and I reported it to Twitter because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And they got back in touch with me, and they were like, it's actually allowed to be here, which surprised me.
Right.
And they didn't do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, it is allowed. If it is, nudity or sexual content, it's supposed to be flagged by the person who uploads it, and then it's supposed to go sort of behind like an interstitial where you would have to say, yes, I want to see this, right? So it doesn't just sort of like show up in your feed unannounced. But, I don't think everyone does that, and I don't think Twitter or X now catches all of the stuff, especially in replies, when that happens. And so they do have rules around this that are supposed to make it a little bit less visible, even though it is allowed. But I just don't know, one, how often people are going out of their way to follow those rules, and two, if they're really enforcing them in the way that, they claim that they should be.
Dana, you follow Elon just like Kurt does. I mean, you have for a long time. I'm just thinking about it. It feels like he's out there, again, working on a lot of stuff. And it's just interesting in terms of, as you said, you want more specifics on what he wants to do when it comes to the car side and the Tesla side of the business. I don't know. He's someone who sometimes puts out time frames and he doesn't meet it a lot of times. So how are you thinking about it? And, how soon do investors kind of want some specifics on what they're doing? Because they've been really pretty down, as we said. Worst performer in the S&P 500 this year is Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla said that they are going to begin production of this car, this next generation vehicle, in the second half of 2025 in Austin, Texas. And between now and then, I would expect that we would hear a little bit more details. I don't know if they're going to have another investor day. Obviously, they have a shareholder meeting coming up sometime in the spring. The big question for the stock in the short term is like, how many cars did they deliver? But the next wave of growth really hinges on this next vehicle. And we've seen Tesla come out with a lot of products, Cybertruck, semi-truck, Optimus, that haven't really moved the needle for the stock. I mean, what's going to really drive the stock going forward is this next wave of growth. And so that's why investors are like, what do you know about Unboxed? And I'm like, oh, I don't know a lot, but I'm so if you are a supplier or an engineer, we are eager to learn more. But some companies like CareSoft have done models, and like they think that the savings is there, and they think that it's financially doable, it's technically feasible.
Call Dana. She's at Dana Hall on X.
You can find her on the terminal too.
She's not. Yeah.
Well, there is. I do have some sort of transition here back to Kurt because Tesla, Dana, as you've pointed out, has a lot of different products, and Elon Musk has thrown a lot of of diverse things at the wall when you think about their products, from Optimus to Semi and Cybertruck. Kurt, when we think about X and what he's doing at X right now, I listened to the Don Lemon interview last week or the week before, and one of my takeaways is that it seems like he's trying to make X the internet. And like everything you can do on different apps and services on the internet, he wants to be able to do on X. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. He's talked about this as being an everything app, right? And everything, genuinely, he means everything. He means payments, he means video, he means, apparently adult content. Like, there's nothing that's really off limits in terms of what he wants X to be able to do. The way I'm viewing it is more like he's seeing it as an entertainment app, right? Versus maybe what has historically been like a news app. That's certainly the pivot that I see, is like a lot of the content stuff seems to be more towards entertainment. I'm skeptical, right? Not only because I feel like what made Twitter so great was the fact that it was good at news, was the fact that it was the place you opened up when something crazy was going on. Like, that was what made it indispensable. I'm not sure that we need another YouTube, another TikTok, another, whatever adult site. These are the types of things that he wants X to be, but I feel like the thing that was most unique about it is what he's getting rid of.
Hey, real quickly, 20 seconds for you, Dana. $25,000 car. If Elon can do it and Tesla can do it, that would be certainly a growth driver for the company. Just quickly.
Yes, it would open up their total addressable market by leaps and bounds, and it would allow them to compete with China.
All right, interesting stuff. Always a lot when it comes to the world of Elon.
Mr. Musk.
Mr. Musk. Yeah. Adult content. I'll take the $25,000.